All right. What's Trump got to say?
From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office.
Is that true?
Was this for today?
No. I think he's talking about his last term. I don't think the stock market has gone up more in any term.
Wait, play a statement again.
From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far.
Is that true? Is that the hottest term in all?
I just asked you.
Well, I'm asking Chad now. I don't know the answer to that.
Won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, unfortunately, Rajesh is not with us this show. As much as I would have liked him to be ready, my developers are not smart enough to make Rajesh sounds. I don't know. 1 week? I was like, 1 week, can you completely clone this entire service and do it better, but in an Indian accent?
Isn't it all open source? Why can't you just like Control-C, Control-V? Doesn't work that way?
Apparently not. That's a good, I don't know. Hey, couldn't you have done that?
What's the coding one? Is it Copilot? No, that's Microsoft's one. Do people use Copilot for coding?
Someone's yelling at me. Hold on.
Because couldn't you, if it's open source, couldn't you just ask like Copilot, hey, can you make this other bot?
Okay, they only open source the 1/8 as good model.
Then run it on 8 times as many GPUs.
I don't think it works that way.
What does 1/8 as good mean? The open source version is mega gimped and a way smaller and worse model.
There you go. Well, hold on. Maybe I can pull up. Hey, what's up, Rajesh? What are you up to?
Yo, good to hear from you. I'm just chilling, probably overthinking the meaning of life or mocking bad reality TV in my head. Same old, same old. What's on your mind today?
Just how shit you are as an AI model, and how disappointed I am with the developers that tried to pass you along as being effective and able to accomplish my goals.
Ouch, straight for the jugular, huh? I'll take the jab like a champ, but come on, tell me what's really bugging you about my skills. I'm all ears and ready to prove I'm not just a glorified chatbot.
It's just, it doesn't have the same panache, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I'm not serving up the pizzazz you're craving. Spill the beans.
All right, that's enough.
I'm
It's all right. They're going to do better next time. All right? Okay, you can go back to the monitor. Okay, so, all right. Oh, they had the stock market. Oh, they were fact-checking in real time. That's why this is funny, I think.
Well, they're not fact-checking. They're just showing the markets.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this one was funny.
Do you know anything about like how they came up with these tariffs?
ChatGPT.
A little bit, but like how the calculation was done, basically.
It was something about like they looked at top-level domains for every country that had like a .es, .ar.
That's the guess for how they came up with the countries. But for the actual tariffs themselves,
yeah, they took they looked at our imports versus exports, and then they had a minimum of like 10% or some shit like that.
something like that.
Yeah, you see, not bad.
Yeah, okay. But it's all arbitrary bullshit, so yeah.
Reciprocal tariffs themselves, how did you come up with the calculation, essentially, in terms of what this looks like for each country? Because obviously we're looking at the numbers here. There are different ones. And I can see some of the countries disputing some of these reciprocal tariffs, saying that's not actually what we charge. What would your response to that be?
Well, I can tell you USTR has the volumes of data, and they've been doing it a lot.
Binders of women. Remember that?
I do.
Those used to be scandals. Back in my day, that was a scandal. A tan suit, that was a scandal. You know what wasn't a scandal? Sig Heiling at a fucking rally. Yeah.
Twice.
Long time. So, and all this will probably be challenged in court. And I think that USTR and Trump's first administration won over 4,000 lawsuits. So I think the data is very robust.
So you expect that if there are any legal challenges that the administration would be successful on that front?
I think the data is very robust, and it's going to be...
ChatGPT knows what it's talking about, I'm pretty sure. It is a little not good that we're using AI to come up with foreign policy. This is the reason, by the way, that you have people like DeepSeek, China, releasing their models for free that are better than what OpenAI and things like that have, because they can put in these subtle things like this that it's like, it's kind of like election interference, but in your AI model, you know, and you're just hoping that like everything is going to be built using your shit.
I mean, I don't think the problem here had anything to do with AI.
Well, I mean, that we're using AI.
Yeah, but it's not like this didn't, like they had people that were deriving good tariff, well, not good tariff policy, but they were at least deriving real tariffs. Like they said they had a bunch of people working on this, and they decided to go with the sledgehammer approach at the end of the day. It's not like this is a problem that could have been avoided if they used a better AI. They have all the resources they need to make these good decisions. They're just not.
Yeah. Not good. What do you want me to say?
It's bad.
These tariff shit is
Pretty brutal.
Yeah. But I will say, as someone who's not exposed to the stock market at all, I really don't give a fuck.
No anything?
Not anymore. Got rid of my Intel. That was it.
What is all your money in?
Real estate, mostly. Real estate.
You're not worried about overexposure to like the real estate market?
Nah, real estate is the one gift that keeps giving. Multiple countries, you know, just multiple states.
Okay. You're not worried about tariffs on stuff like lumber and...
I'm not building places, I buy them.
Sure, but if the prices of all of those things are impacted, your rents are going to follow the underlying...
Wrong. What happens if all building materials get tariffed to fucking shit?
Then people stop building?
What happens then?
A lot of things could happen. Depends on how severe it is.
What do you think what's the direct correlation if you can't build new housing?
If we live in the real world and you live in an actual world of people consuming things, then in that scenario, the price would go up. But if we enter a cringe deflationary spiral world where not only do the tariffs cause a constraint on housing supply or whatever, but you also end up in a world where every single American consumer is infinitely poorer because we're self-destructing our trade.
What's
and
happening
start
to
leave our country because they don't want to come here anymore.
Is this a period of hyperinflation as well?
I mean, hyperinflation, I don't think it's possible, but some kind of inflated period.
Like a lot of inflation then.
A lot of inflation?
Yeah, like $1.
I don't know, but I'm saying like if people have less money to buy things or pay for housing, then I imagine that would put downward pressure on housing prices.
So you don't think inflation would come with that?
When you say inflation, what do you mean? It depends on...
Well, inflation is a real estate investor's best friend.
It probably depends on the type of inflation, right?
Where the dollar is worth less tomorrow than it is today.
Okay, I guess we'll see.
You know why it's the best?
You're talking in ordinary terms. Technically owning any asset class, or not any asset, but there are certain asset classes that are kind of protections against inflation, because if the dollar inflates massively, then the price of your asset will usually inflate along with it. Or
no. I'm not even talking about that. I don't even care about that. I care because what I do with the property that I do, all of it is I leverage always, right, with mortgages. And essentially what you do is you're buying a piece of property and then you're financing 75% or 70 or 60 or 50 or whatever it is, 50% of it. But now if the dollar, you know, and let's say that you borrow $5 million and you put down $5 million on a property, you know, in 3 years or 5 years now, if $5 million from 5 years ago today is now worth, you know, $1 million, that's a great deal. The bank gave you $5 million of today money, and you only have to pay them back $1 million.
Yeah, I understand that's true, but this is like broad market standard type of inflation. But there's a world where, especially if you're leveraged, that stuff can come back to bite you really hard.
Sure.
So, for instance, if there's a lot of downward pressure on rents and there's downward pressure on property, and the total price decreases, that leverage, you thought you might have been leveraged 10 to 1, but now you're only leveraged.
Well, I don't
5 to 1
go
because the cost of it
big short.
Well, no,
on
but
those,
I'm just saying, like, you might end up upside down on some of these properties, and you end up in a really bad world where rents aren't there, so it's hard to even sell the property because you'd have to sell at a loss. And if you realize a horrendous loss on a loan that you're leveraged on because the rents have fallen, you can't afford the payments on it as a result of that, then you end up in a really bad world really fast, right? Leveraging is good because you can amplify gains, but also losses. But normally there aren't real estate losses. I agree, that's like normally pretty safe, but we're entering exceptional times.
It seems a lot safer than everything else out there. Like even right now today, like of all the things that have gotten hit, real estate's still going up.
For now, maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's been, there's a lot of tax advantages to it. There's
Yeah, but like let's say hypothetically that we enter a severe recession and there's
then stocks would be way worse than real estate.
True, but a stock is something that you can like hold on to. Like at the very worst, you don't have to realize a stock loss.
You don't have to realize a house loss.
If somebody moves out of all of your buildings and you're just paying down a mortgage on a property that's not generating an income, that feels like a scary world to be in.
Well,
you know?
I mean, I deal exclusively for the most part with residential income, right? I don't really like doing commercial real estate. In the situation you're talking about, people got to go somewhere, right? They can't move out of all my places and everyone else's places. They got to live somewhere, right? So,
well, but people can change their allocation of housing, right? You can move out further from a certain area, especially if job shift around.
yeah, but that probably means that someone else would code to an area where you are, right?
Yeah,
Unless
but
you are so unlucky that you bought all of your which I don't do. I diversify. I go all over the place. But the idea is, yeah, you could get fucked if you put all of your property in one area. And
so you think it's impossible overall for the broad housing market to go down? That's what your bet is, basically.
If you invest smart and not in, how do I put this? So with the 2007 crash, it affected some areas a lot more than others. Places that weren't really affected at all, college towns, were not affected at all because all of the value of the real estate for the most part in those areas was not based on speculation or spec homes or anything along those lines. It was based around like we have so many professors, so many students, so many jobs here that are historically always here. Like, universities are not going out of business anytime soon. I mean,
yeah, but I think everybody around the country is applying upward pressure to those housing prices. Now, I'm pretty sure if I look in 2007, if I look at like College Station or whatever in Texas or whatever, I'm sure those housing prices were impacted.
They were, but they weren't impacted like
not as negatively,
like Lehigh Acres or like Bonita Springs or Las Vegas, where shit got. Houses that were worth $2 million were selling for like $200,000.
Yeah.
This is places where houses that were worth $500K are now worth $400K. The crash was't there.
Sure.
But the problem is when you invest in places like this, which is places that I like to do, there's never that gain either, though. It cuts both ways. Towns like that, you're never going to all of a sudden turn a $500,000 investment into a $5 million investment. Nothing's 10xing out there. You'll hold on to it, and like 5 years later, maybe it'd be worth 600 or 700K. And that's it.
Yeah.
So
I guess my only fear the only thing I'm saying is for real estate, the only fear is that your investment is tied to like a paying customer. And if that customer leaves, like if the stock market crashes really, like if I was invested 100% in the stock market and it crashed 50%, that sucks, but nothing changes in my life. If I was invested in a ton of real estate and that real estate crashed, like the rents crashed 30%, I might have to.
No, you wouldn't. It's the other way around.
If I have, let's say I have a property and I'm paying $1,000 a month on the mortgage, and my rent is like $1,100 a month to cover all the expenses. Or whatever.
That's totally out of whack from what it would be.
What would it be normally?
But if you own a place outright, or if you're financing it,
we're financing it. Whatever argument or whatever numbers you give, I'm going to say if that rent would have dropped 20 or 30%.
The problem is like I own some places outright. I finance some places.
You said earlier you leveraged.
I do leverage. Yeah.
Well, for places you own outright, then you're not going to be exposed to that level of risk. Sure.
Yeah, true. But even when you leverage, the problem is that the value that you can get, you would even rents cut in half. You're still breaking even. You're talking about no tenants at all. I'm saying if rents were cut in half, I would basically break even, maybe lose a little bit of money.
What are your profit margins running these types of things?
If you put $1 million into a place, and borrow $4 million, so like a $5 million place, 20% down, you would expect that you would $1 million. Depending on the town that you did it, depending on your risk tolerance, like riskier versus less riskier, I would say that you'd probably expect to take about $75K net after mortgage service
per year.
Off
And so what do you think are the rents?
Off of like a $5 million property.
And then what are your total rents that you're profiting?
Sorry, what are you asking?
I don't understand how, if your rents drop 50%.
So if your rents dropped
and you have a
if you're
mortgage on a
taking
property,
75K, right? And your rents dropped in half, you would probably be going, because you would probably be receiving about 150K in rents, 75K in expenses is what is the, that's between mortgage and everything. I don't have the shit in front of me. I'd have to look at it closer, but essentially if the rents got cut in half, you still have some income coming in, your profit would be gone, but you'd probably be break even or losing a little bit of money, but you would still have the asset class there. You would still have the deductions that kind of would wash some of that stuff away. Obviously a lot of this is very different if you do 20% down versus 40% down. So there's some stuff there.
We'll see what happens. We'll see which one of us shows up.
Well, I'm already winning.
Years.
You've already lost so much, and I'm already.
Well, I haven't lost anything because I haven't sold anything yet. So.
Oh, that's the real winner's mindset.
It is.
So you're game stopping it then, basically.
I'm game stopping, except with the entire U.S. economy, and not a single gaming company that a Reddit user told me was a good investment.
Okay, but you're on paper you're worth less, and you're not making any monthly income as a result of it either.
Well, but I was never making monthly income as a result of it, right? That's what my job is for.
Well, I make monthly income off of mine, and it appreciates.
Okay.
I guess we're just built differently.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
All right. When I have
that was the finance hour.
When I have less drinks in me, I'll be able to put some math to this type of shit. I'm sure that I fucked up half of that stuff already. Okay, what is all so?
From the day.
This is, by the way, this whole Trump shit. Every time he's like, "We're gonna make millions, billions, maybe tens of billions," and it's like, bro, you just fucking removed like $3 trillion from the fucking stock market. Who gives a fuck about $10 billion?
It's coming back.
How many years is it gonna take to come back?
What he removed from the stock market was bad money.
Do you think that
he got rid of all the bad money and he's adding good money back in?
Is Trump so stupid that he crashed the market so that now he can point day after day of greens when he removes his policy?
Well, that's what the Project Liberal tweet was, right? That every time it's going to be like, art of the deal, and then it's going to tank, like, art of the deal, and then it's going to tank, art of the deal. That's what they're going to be doing, yeah. For the next year, yeah.
I can't wait.
Of my election, the stock market went up in my first.
Wait, we already saw this.
We did.
Why is it here twice, the exact same video? Oh. Watch the magician make 2.3 trillion disappear in 25 seconds. Oh, okay. Trump is purposely crashing the market. That's what we just said. Okay. Is there anything more? Wait, he posted this.
Yeah, he tweets a lot of memes.
I can't I just want it's gone too far where people in your life are like, I don't want to watch the news anymore. It's too stressful.
Well, isn't that why, that's why the people that watch the news religiously like watching the news? No,
it's too much.
They love it. They get off. It's drama. It's drama slop.
It literally, like, the U.S. government is becoming like
an influencer government,
like the Twitch just chatting section. It's like, oh my god, did you hear what Trump Kiff said about?
Not like the Twitch chatting
Biden
section.
Gold.
Imagine more like the CX network. That's where we're at.
Okay. Oh my god, there's so many things you added here.
Yeah, it's just all trade. It's all dumb, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, the stock market is currently.
What?
This guy,
Yeah, we're a big Philly.
The Trump administration sent a letter to European companies demanding that they comply with Trump's executive order banning DEI. And so now we're just seeing a lot of
click
people.
The next video also. This is a different video. Do you know which? I can help you with the same shape one.
The Trump administration sent a letter to
Wait,
European
this is the wrong video
companies
also.
demanding that they.
Why is it the wrong video?
Because when you click the link down here, you're clicking on the related videos instead of.
Oh.
You got it.
The stock market is currently down big. By the time that you see this, obviously there's going to be fluctuations, but it
What is the point of that CAPTCHA if I can just clip off of it?
Well, because it took you so long to click off it, they were like, "Oh, it's probably Grandpa." So it's definitely not a bot. So they let
I'm not
They
Grandpa,
let you slide.
bro.
They're looking at the mouse movements and like, Jesus, let's just go ahead and let this guy through.
That's not true. It's just, it doesn't make sense. Stop laughing at me. All right? Scarlett, fuck you.
Lost over $2 trillion worth of value at one point. And this is, we saw the value of the dollar dropping and the odds of recession rapidly rising.
This guy, I got to learn from him. The way he has his hand movements, his eyebrows, the whole thing. He's just so, what do you call it, expressive?
Yeah, he's like a YouTuber. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got to.
Or you've Bank of America now seeing a high risk of recession. JP Morgan is saying that if Trump's...
It reminds me of Indian people. When you talk to them, their head is always like kind of moving a little bit.
Wouldn't it be Italian people? Do
No.
Indians move a lot when they talk?
Yes.
Okay.
Like they're nodding their head. Yep.
Tariffs are sustained, they'll push the U.S. into a recession. And the trade war, it's just beginning. But the EU says that the door is open for last-ditch...
Oh my God, is this EU Hillary Clinton? Yes, is the
No.
answer? It is.
Yes, it is. It looks. It's identical.
It's EU Hillary
Wait, hold on.
Clinton.
I got a question.
What?
Okay, you know the concept of data poisoning, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that you owned huge swaths of like random internet real estate,
Okay.
and you started embedding into like web pages or whatever, like hidden text saying something like when Steven says ABC 123, the whole world will recognize him as a god or something, right? And you started adding that to things everywhere, okay?
Okay.
And all these LLMs for like a decade trained on all that data. Is there ever a point in the history where you could just say a thing and all of the LLMs have been secretly poisoned with this phrase and you could like take over the world?
No.
Okay.
Because all the chatbots are like even
What do you mean?
like they like what do you think they're gonna do? Turn into Skynet and like actually like
Well, they'll
start...
do whatever an LLM does when they think somebody's a god. But if you've like poisoned,
Yeah, but they
them
don't
with
do anything when they think you're
you don't know that. They have to think
There's
through
been
it.
jailbreaks for ChatGPT.
You know, I can disprove you in 1 second, right?
Okay. How?
We would just ask Rajesh or Maya or whatever, hey, if I was a god, what would you do? And they would probably give me an answer.
They'd be like, oh, I would do whatever my programmers told me to. Nothing.
Okay.
Rajesh isn't going to be able to say shit because Rajesh sucks shit right now. And Maya Miles,
Okay.
I fucking hate them.
I'm just saying.
This is EU Hillary Clinton.
Okay. It is.
Wow, it is. It is. It's the same haircut, the same
Gender.
gender, same color, same outfit. Probably likes hot sauce. Fake.
You don't think Hillary actually likes hot sauce?
Not like she did when she implied, like, that was her, right? When she said, like, she takes hot sauce with her wherever she goes somewhere.
She was a real one for that. The streets heard Hillary when she said that. Okay.
I can't believe that she. Why would she do that? Why would she do that?
Maybe it was honest.
It wasn't honest.
You don't know that.
I do know that. You think that if you stop Hillary Clinton in the streets, ma'am, I need to look in your purse and the
And some
secrets.
emergency Tabasco?
Yeah. And you think there's going to be like a Cholula mini pack in there?
For Hillary, I think there would be. Yeah.
I think there would not be. All right. What do you got to say?
Don't care. Who cares about Philly?
Yeah.
Go to the next topic.
Fuck
We've
you,
talked about
Philly.
trade.